lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. It is April 10th, 2023, and you are tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box, the best in movie news and reviews and all that fun stuff and wisdom and advice and life coaching and healthy living tips and life hacks and history, science, theology, philosophy, all of these things right here on the Drive-In Speaker Box. And
I feel like some of those we don't do.
Anyway,
Chief amongst them healthy living tips.
Well, as you just finished your Arby's so quickly before we got on the show, healthy living tips right here. I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy, the grip.
And welcome to the show, guys. We are here tonight. We're going to be talking to you about some movies. We both managed to catch the Super Mario Brothers movie in theaters, separate from each other. We have not talked about the movie at all with each other yet, so we're gonna do that later in the show. I also got a chance to catch out the new Owen Wilson film, Paint. So we're going to be talking about that. And if you guys are joining us, Vince. Subscribed for 21 months on Twitch. Hey, man. Thank you. Looks like we're getting close to a hype train over on Twitch. So for those of you that are joining us downloaded in the future from a podcast form or on Facebook or YouTube Live, Twitch is, we do the pre-show on Twitch. We always start a little bit early just for those folks. And we're going to give shout-outs to everybody. And thanks, Lojweb, for just tuning in. Happy Easter.
He subscribed too.
Yeah, thanks for that sub. Tony Garrett over on YouTube. Hey, you guys. Baby. All that stuff. So, Velvet Santa says, I'm dressed like a problematic dude at a party in an 80s movie. How about a cool dude at a party in an 80s movie?
And I'm dressed like a dad.
There we go. So,
dads are cool dudes, man.
Dads are cool dudes.
Most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to talk to you about stuff this week. The news. There's two sad pieces of news I wanted to, I guess we'll start with this week. And one of them is not sad. It's probably not going to be sad to any of you because you probably don't know or care. But one of my favorite internet film bloggers is retiring today. He made his last post on his blog, tvvcr.com. His name is Mark. I have been reading his stuff, his news journalism for almost as long as I've been doing the Drive-In Speaker Box. He's a brilliant dude, and he TVVCR has reached the end of its tape, as he has said, because internet is hard, and journalism is hard, and blogging is harder, and getting paid to do it. And the thing that I enjoyed about his style is that he wasn't just hype training Marvel and Disney Star Wars crap like Slash Film and IndieWire and all that stuff that just like goes, oh, here's more Indiana Jones news. This guy was like, look at this stupid shit, and he was very honest. And
he was us.
He was us, yeah. And so pouring one out to one of my favorite film bloggers who retired this week, and sad day. But also a death this week, and not. He is not an actor, and he was not a director, but he spent his entire life kind of making fun of movies and TV, and is a guy that influenced me growing up as a kid. that grew up before the internet, right? And it's Al Jaffe. And Al Jaffe, if you don't know that name, Al Jaffe was a cartoonist, most notably known for his work with Mad Magazine. He invented the fold-over sort of, back cover of Mad Magazine. But he also did a lot of comic art and, published a lot of books, and all satire and, and kind of edgy. He was a little bit racy, still made things that were for kids, but he drew boobies, man. He drew naked boobies.
What?
And when you're like a child, like going, oh man, there's a naked boobie in this comic. What the heckin' heck? But he was hilarious too. And he was working all the way up until Mad Magazine kind of folded, which, they only do special editions now. But he died at like 102 years old, and this dude was still working up in his late 90s. I think 2019 or 2020, he was still like, I don't know how straight a line he could draw, but just a prolific dude and an amazing guy that is probably way more influential than any of us realize. But Velvet Santa asks, where do I find his work in order to not go there?
Yeah, you got to know what to avoid to not
Al
see
Jaffe?
the naked They don't want to see the naked boobies, bro.
Why do we have the most conservatively lame-ass audience? What's wrong with you guys?
I don't
want to
see them either. I don't want to see them either.
You don't want to see a boobie?
Just perusing the internet, minding my own business, trying to learn from the World Wide Web and come across some drawn T-taw.
Y'all are so full of shit. Dude, I mean, come on. And they were not like picture perfect boobies. It was just you guys are the most prudent grandmas. Free the nip. How about it? How about a little bit of equality? Why you gotta put the boob under lock and key?
No,
you
that's
prudent,
right.
Patriarchal sons of bitches.
Like on movies, if they say they contain partial nudity, that's a no from me, dog. I don't want that. Not in my movies.
Wow. Granddad Jake over here. Oh, no way. The Bible says you free that dirty, filthy nipple. I don't even want to see it. Don't talk to me about it. Don't think about it.
Yep.
Just get it out of here. It's the evil. It's the devil's nipple. You guys are terrible. Night Owlishly, pro boobs over there, normalize the breast. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Shout outs to boobs. As a person who has had boobs most of my life, I am a proud boob owner. And anyway, Lojweb asks, Bo, do you remember the reason I gave Steven as to why I wanted the Starship Trooper machine? Yes, I do.
The co-ed shower scene, which makes it where no one's allowed to watch Starship Troopers ever because dizzy boobs.
Because fantastic.
No.
Boob. You're telling me that...
That's why I'll never watch that movie again.
You're so full of shit.
I watched that movie exactly one time, and I stopped about 45 minutes into it. I don't even know how it ends.
No,
I don't even know how it ends.
Out of here! That is the biggest, dumbest thing I've ever. You are such a liar. You love Paul Verhoeven when the camera's not rolling.
I like Paul Verhoeven movies.
Paul Verhoeven rocks. Starship Troopers kind of rocks. It's a great movie. Melody Mayhan and Utah says, what
Total
an interesting
Recall.
place to jump in.
That's another movie I like up until a point, and then all of a sudden there's
the three boob part,
three naked boobs
the
on
greatest
TV.
scene.
I have to end it right there.
No, God dang, this is the most lie-filled. I'm
Dude,
not a fibber.
I was like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Ironside, what's her name that stomps on his ding dong a whole bunch.
So you're cool with watching ding-dongs get stomped?
No, not cool with that at all.
But-
But what's her name? I can't remember.
You're the one that loves ding-dongs getting stomped.
No, dude. The point of it is, it's a good movie to a point, and that's
The credits.
3 points.
Yeah, that's the...
Sharon Stone. Yeah.
the
See,
best
there's some
part.
quality acting going on there, and then all of a sudden they ruin it with mutant Mars memories.
I like the part where he's like, got a lot of nerve showing your face in here, and he goes, look who's talking. And he's
He's
like,
like,
so good.
Yeah, see, it's good up until then, and then less than
And then it
3
gets
minutes
amazing.
later. Less than 3 minutes later.
Okay. I'm going to catch you right here because you said just now, I'm catching you in a lie, that you always stop it before it's the boob scene. And except for I have heard you on more than one occasion quote, "Give the people air, Cohagen," which is at the end of the movie.
Well, it's in a Austrian Death Machine song, is what it is.
You were such a freaking liar.
No, dude.
Such a liar. Give
And
the
that
people
so-
air,
that
Cohagen.
band-
Give them air.
That band was started by...
They said it like that. They said air.
That band was started by As I Lie Dying, which is like a semi-Christian...
It's more like
thing.
As I Laid Lying. The Jake story. Anyway, boobs rule.
No, take them out of our movies. We don't need them.
Okay, anyway, we watched...
Super Mario didn't have any boobs.
Bullshit. That movie was so problematic in its
We'll
in
get
its
to that.
depiction of relationships. Don't get me started on that movie because we're going to get started on that movie in the second half hour. So, hashtag exposed, says
No,
Ghost.
not exposed. A hashtag covered.
Psh, bullshit. Anyway,
This is what we're
Al
doing with our
Jaffe,
lives.
pouring one out for Al Jaffe. A shot of Malort for Al Jaffe right there. Oh, this last week I visited the Jepson's distillery. I saw where Malort was made. I got to taste some Malort like fresh out the still. It was amazing.
What'd the brewmeister think when you threw up after you did that?
You know, because it was all just like joy that I threw up. You know, we made friends. We're our Instagram homies now. But anyway, pouring one out for Al Jaffe. Did you have any news that was
Yeah.
like very conservative, like news about conservative biz baths?
Yeah, I do. Speaking of people that boobs or whatever, do you see that they announced the release date of the John Wick spinoff movie? It's going to be a movie now. Ballerina.
Of course, because the John Wick 4 is making so much money. Of course, it's going to be a movie.
Well, this was announced like last Monday, like the moment that John Wick made money. But it's going to be released June 7th of next year. They've already filmed some of it because
They were filming a series.
Keanu Reeves and Lance Reddick make appearances. They have cameos in it.
Well, and Lance, as you heard us,
He's passed
report,
away.
He passed away.
Yeah. So stars Ana de
How
Armas.
many stairs does he fall down?
Several.
Okay.
Ana de Armas is the star. She is the ballerina.
Of course she is.
Norman Reedus is going to be a co-starring in the
God,
movie.
I like her too, and I'm pissed because she was great in the last.
Knives Out.
Well, no, I was going to say the last.
But Blade Runner?
James Bond. Was it James Bond?
I didn't watch the last James
Okay,
Bond.
yeah, she was
So
great.
maybe.
Yeah.
But she was in Blade Runner, and she was good in that. She was good in the first Knives Out.
Wow.
Apparently, everyone hated Blonde, so skip that one maybe. But then,
Why? Because more of you boob haters
yeah, that's it. That's totes it.
can't handle seeing one boob.
Yeah, not even once.
Free the nip.
We need to end this bit.
No, it's no. We have already had. Let's see. Melody
Perverts.
and YouTube
Yep.
says boobs rule, PPs drool. We've got Loj Web says
If that's
petition.
the case, they need to go to a doctor.
Petition for a boob emote. We got a second from Night Owlishly on Twitch. A second petition for the boob emote.
gone on too
And
long.
so, like, where's my gavel? We have. I will be making a boob emote next
Jeez.
week.
All right.
Drive-in.
Anyhow,
Hashtag nipple piercings from
Wow.
Ghost 1971
or
or 971.
anyhow, next year we'll get another John Wick movie. It'll just have minimal John Wick in it. But what I was gonna say is we'll see how her Apple TV movie goes with Chris Evans. You seen the trailers for that?
Which one?
Where she's the spy and Chris Evans is like a dude that goes on a date with her and then travels to the ends of the earth to like find her just to figure out that she's the spy. You seen that?
I did not.
It looks okay. So we'll see how that goes. See if she's an action star for Ballerina.
Oh, she is. She's
And then
she's great.
the
fantastic.
Barbie trailer, the full Barbie trailer came out
my whole
since last time we talked to everyone.
my social media feed has been people doing the Barbie sticker thing.
Well, have you seen
filter.
the Hokuto no Ken? And it has Kenshiro,
Yeah.
and it says this Ken, whatever.
I have seen that.
That one's
was kinda
pretty
fun.
good. But the whole trailer was like 2 minutes of them saying that they'll beat each other off. They're like, I'm going to beat you off, bro. And it's just the 21 Jump Street joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or the Kmart joke, the ship my pants You remember that one?
No, but that sounds fun.
Yeah, they'll ship anything. Oh, I shipped my bed. And anyway, that was an old, pretty funny ad.
And then the other thing, talking about franchises, continuing on, Warner Brothers is currently planning a Harry Potter TV show for HBO Max. And it's not a spinoff.
Breaking the internet right now.
Not a spinoff. It's going to be the story of Harry Potter, but in TV form with all new actors.
Because that's something we needed. Well, so it goes back to what we were talking about in the pre-show.
Keep Gary Oldman as Sirius Black. Keep all of the actors except for the kids. Keep
I don't know how anybody would want to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
What's his name? Gleason. Who's Gleason? What's his first name that plays Mad-Eye Mooney?
It's Sam. No.
Keep him.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Keep Gary Oldman. Keep Jason Isaacs. You know what I'm saying? Like, have all of the adults still be the adults. Get Maggie Smith back in there.
Well, so Vince over on Twitch, he says, can we go back to why I don't like movies or TV shows anymore? So earlier in the pre-show on Twitch, which is exclusive content. If you subscribe on Twitch, you can get some of that early show that's not in the podcast or on the Facebook or YouTube. And we were talking about, being excited about new movies. And and this is the reason why it's hard to be excited about new stuff, because it's like Harry Potter's not that old. Like, it's not even that old to where we're like, man, they're remaking. Because, like,
it's 20 years old.
That's still, like, and we've talked about this on the show. The internet has made access to our memory more clear. Like, nostalgia is more easily accessible than, oh man, remember that? Now it's like, yeah, I remember because I can't stop seeing it constantly daily, and there's all this shit, and like you never get to forget it enough to where it becomes a warm fuzzy memory. Like, and then people go, oh my god, it's 20 years old. I've only been constantly bombarded with it for 20 years. It never gets a chance to become nostalgia, because we never grow past it. And so then when you start re-churning it, dude, I know people that for 20 years have still been picking their houses. I mean, I have a sorting hat right.
All I'm saying is that E.T. was put on TV every weekend for like every year. Gryffindor nailed it.
That hat is not 20 years old, but it's on a store shelf that you can get all the time. I'm point proven. I'm fired up.
You wrecked the audio of the show.
It's just a cable. There we go.
No, man, but
get me fired up.
There's some things like that just don't go away.
Star Wars a really expensive hat.
Star Wars has never gone away. E.T. Just recently maybe went away a little bit. Jaws is on TV every week, and it has been since TV.
Yeah, and that's why when you remake these things, it's not as impactful as the original content, because we don't need these remakes when we have it.
Just end it there. We don't need remakes.
We don't need remakes when we have access to everything. A remake is when something was either done poorly or doesn't hold up, or missed its mark or failed, but they still saw potential in it.
There's a few exceptions. The Fly.
Well,
the original's not bad,
but think about when that was made.
Yeah, but I'm talking like if you get like a Cronenberg dude, he's like, check this out, I have a vision. Gross. And they're just like, okay, I'm listening. He's like, yeah, what if everything is gross? And they're like,
well, and that was or The Thing. You think about like these movies, those were from like the 40s and 50s, black and white movies that had these really high concepts but weren't able to execute, and then they were remade and done in a really engaging and interesting new way that is now easily on demand. Like, how many the original was so far away, and as Lojweb just said on Twitch, he said, look what they did to my dear Jurassic Park.
And it's just, that's his Cedric Diggory. Look what they did to my boy. My boy. Yeah.
But
he also said Dune, and the latest Dune is so far the best version of it out of all the TV miniseries. But
the Dune film, again, ripe for a remake, because no one's hammering Dune down our throat.
Yeah, but people
you know?
like the original Dune, though.
Yeah, weirdos, like, you know, and I do too. But that's where remakes find their place, is when the audience is so minuscule and it's lost on the outskirts of cult fanaticism and counterculture and archival dudes like us that are like, have you ever heard of this movie? It's really cool. And
Let me go to my DVD shelf.
And we're the only dudes that are going to get pissed off about it. And even though, like, I'm not pissed off about the new Dune because they did a really good job with it. And it wasn't like we're on our 5th reinvention of the Spider-Man story in 15 years.
Well,
it's like the same, you know.
It'll only be the second time that they've done Harry Potter.
Yeah, but we're not ready. It's not.
I mean, you're not going to find a better Harry Potter than Daniel Radcliffe. You're not going to find a better Hermione than Emma Watson, right? Like, you're not going to find better castings of those characters than what they did. And I think that's going to be the hardest part of it is, like, how do you get a better Hagrid or Harry or McGonagall?
You don't.
You know? Yeah, you don't. So that's the tough part about that is all that was nailed. And I know there's all the people that read the books and they're like, well, in the books this happens, and it was missing from the movie Leviosa or whatever, you know.
Wingardium Leviosa.
There's two different ones in Hogwarts Legacy, bro.
Well, what's canon?
Who cares? I don't know. But the point of it being, I mean, that's a tough remake to try and do.
Well, and you know what we were talking about earlier in the pre-show is when these franchises they're building things that we feel obligated to continually consume and pay for. And as Lojweb just says, HP Harry Potter is the next Star Wars. You know, and Star Wars is getting oversaturated too. Like, people are like getting fatigued. They're like, you're not giving me enough time to fall in love with this thing, this world, this thing that you're creating, so I can maybe rewatch it and maybe appreciate it more and become like. Fandom is an interesting thing because fandom, generally, the traditional method of fandom is you make something so good that it changes a person's life, right? And they reconsume and reconsume and reconsume that same piece of whatever it was, and then they become masters of it, and they love it, and they can't stop thinking about, and they reenact their favorite parts, and you know, they learn to speak Klingon and all this kind of shit. And
Why did you hit me when you said that?
well, because you can speak Klingon.
I wish. That would be so cool.
Bro, you've lied so much on this one episode. Like, if we had a polygraph, like, it would, yeah.
No, really. I think speaking Klingon would be sick. It's on Duolingo. You can try it. But I can't.
You're telling me you don't know any Klingon phrases?
No,
I can feel the lie.
I know one.
Okay. Bullshit.
No, I only know one.
Okay, what is it?
I know how to say today is a good day to die.
Let's hear it.
Because they say it in Star Trek Armada all the time.
Yeah.
You ever play Armada? It's sick.
We got a Patak sitting right over here.
Whoa!
That is not even.
Whoa!
I thought you didn't speak Klingon.
No. Yeah, but I've watched DS9, bro.
Okay, well, anyway. Oh, geez. Hardy Entertainment, shout out Movie Albert over on YouTube, tuning in.
Suspended from Twitch. Bummer.
Oh, that does sucks. But the point is, when you oversaturate a market, it does not give any people enough time to become fans, right? And you're like, when you're trying to develop fandom, and someone's like not even finished with a season of Mandalorian 3 or whatever you're on, and they're like, but don't forget Ahsoka, and don't forget the rough tip necks, and don't forget this one, and guess what? Rey's coming back, and you're like, what? Just
I saw that today.
Yeah, and you're like, give me a second.
Who wants Rey?
No one.
Not one person.
Executives do, and you know,
because checklist.
And
but you already got Ahsoka.
Right, and so
you got Bo-Katan or whatever. Is that right?
Well, and then they were talking about Grand Moff Tarkin, and then Emperor Zorg, and like all these other dudes.
Tarkin's
like,
the name in those that I know who that character.
No,
is.
Emperor Zorg's from Toy Story. I was gonna say the blue guy, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Thrawn would be cool if he was original version Thrawn instead of new version Thrawn.
So
does he have the Ysalamiri?
Yeah, I think so. And well, it was only a little clip I saw. When it's Star Wars news, I just.
I know. Yeah, Star Wars died in 2002.
But the point of this entire insanity is we're losing fandom and losing the idea and the culture behind fandom because we don't have enough time to cultivate and develop fandom.
Well,
and that's the point I'm trying to make.
And we've talked about that on the show before. That's part of why Marvel movies are a thing and all this, and you have so many of these annoying people because it's their first taste of having a fandom instead of being like a sports fan or whatever. You know, instead of being like, sports team, they're like, nerd stuff. Yeah, and that's why you have to act like nerd stuff's cool, is because people are into it. But used to fandoms was for people that weren't cool and didn't have other things going on and needed it. And now you have
and
everyone
not every
involved
bit of
in
it is
yeah.
cool to everybody. Like, that's the interesting thing about fandom is you can be a fan of Star Trek and not Star Wars. You can be a fan of Dragon Ball Z and not like Miyazaki. You can be a fan, although you'd be stupid.
Who doesn't?
I'm just saying, I'm giving examples. Like, you know, you can be a fan of one thing and not the other, and that's okay, but they're trying to just like push nerddom as like, well, if you're into this, you're into all of this, and we're going to keep shoving it down your throat, and because you guys got expendable income somehow, and here's a bunch of toys for you to buy, and you know, whatever.
I feel like you just personally attacked both of us.
Well, yes, because we're literally the embodiment of fandom.
That's true.
Like OG fandom, and but we're not nerds, right? Okay, let's establish that. So anyway,
that's a fact.
All right. We have talked a long time about nothing.
Yeah, well,
so
started as news.
It did start as news.
I hope they make it a TV series just so I can see what they do with it and figure out how much everyone can hate it.
Remember when I said theology, philosophy, and here it is. I was not kidding about this show. Okay, let's talk about what's coming out this weekend, because new movies come out in theaters every week, and at this mark in the show is when we tell you when new movies come out. This week is no different. Even though I have a hard time feeling like anything's going to compete with the mushroom powered up invincibility star that is the Super Mario Brothers movie. A little shout out to AGAM Spark on Twitch. She says she runs Nerdy Girls of NWA, and this is a conversation that they have as well. And if you're losing interest due of the quote-unquote nerds due to shoving 57,000 things at people at once, you might have a problem. You know, and it's tough. Like, shout-outs to Nerdy Girls of NWA. They do meetings over at Pinpoint as well. And, yeah, just if you guys have any social media there, throw it up in the Twitch.
Heard it here at Pinpoint, Nerd Hangout.
So... anyway, coming out this week, April 14th, 2023, there's only two really big movies that are coming out in theaters, and they're both on the rated R spectrum of things. They're horror movies, which is going to be an interesting mix because it's competing head-to-head with Mario, which is a vastly, you know, more accessible film to audiences, being PG. You know, you're hitting a lot of fan bases. But you've got The Pope's Exorcist coming out with Russell Crowe.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, generic religious horror movie but this time with Russell Crowe, and then also a movie that I'm kind of curious about. I want to see this movie. I want to kind of hope this movie's okay, but I'm not so. There's
parts of it that look okay and parts of it that make me think it's going to be awful.
And it's Renfield. It's. What do you think about this movie?
I don't know, man. I mean, it'll probably be the one that I go watch, honestly, you know, because it's the one thing that looks like not whatever else is out, you know.
So it's directed from Chris McKay, which, you know, he is very well known for the Lego Movie. He also did Tomorrow War, which I kind of enjoyed. If you're into Tom Cruise, Groundhog Day, sci-fi.
No, wrong movie.
Is that not the?
No, Tomorrow War is the one that was an Amazon movie with Chris Pratt.
What's the one?
You're thinking of The Tom Cruise movie
that
you
looks
said-
exactly the same.
Yeah, it has two titles.
Live, Die,
Repeat was its true title, but they changed it, and
changed
it
it.
was called something else in the U.S.
Anyway, well, Adam McKay.
That movie was good.
Adam McKay, Edge of Tomorrow.
Thanks, yeah.
And this one's the Tomorrow War. See, I'm getting.
Edge of Tomorrow was.
There's Tomorrow.
Was pretty good.
It was Tomorrow Sci-Fi Tom Cruise. Sorry, I got them mixed up. But the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie, Adam McKay, everybody, those I know for a fact, and he's doing Renfield. So, comedy chops notwithstanding, he's shown that he can make a movie that everybody can enjoy. And you're getting, I can say I'm not a huge fan of Nicholas Hoult. He's not my favorite guy on screen. There's something I'm not a huge fan of with him. What are you making fun of the way I said his last name? Yeah, Hoult. He put a U in his name. I don't
Nailed it. One of those.
Whatever. It's one of those.
See, that's I like him. Okay, there's rarely
I'm not
been
a
a
fan.
movie that I don't like Aquafina.
I'm also not
At
a
all.
huge Aquafina fan. It's just very much the same everything that you get out of her roles. Ben Schwartz, I enjoy Ben Schwartz.
Yeah, so you're gonna have Sonic the Hedgehog in the theater up against Mario.
and he's fun. But Nicolas Cage returning to a vampire role, because if you've not seen Vampire's Kiss, which is a 1988 movie with Nicolas Cage, where he thinks he's turning into a vampire, and it is the most Nicolas Cagey movie that you've ever Nicolas Caged. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Like, I would advise everybody that wants to see Renfield, watch Vampire's Kiss before seeing Renfield, not after. Listen to me. You will thank me for it. And but it is an interesting twist. Like, this is a remake that's fun. It's like a story. It's characters we all know. We know Dracula and we know Renfield, and this is a really interesting retelling. I'm excited about it. I'm trying to not get my hopes up, but I'm gonna go see it for sure.
Yeah, I want to watch it. Night Ashley said that she can stand Aquafina and Crazy Rich Asians, but not much else. Fair. You know what?
Yeah,
But that was
that was a good
because
movie.
that movie balanced out how ridiculous and over the top and annoying she is with the remainder of the story and the characters that weren't so bad.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Crazy Rich Asians verse yet.
Yeah, they've been talking about the sequel since that movie first
I
came
know.
out. But you had Michelle Yeoh in that, just being a total bitch. They're so good at it.
Michelle Yeoh is so great.
Yeah,
She's
you are
so
not
great.
worthy of my family. Get out of this house. You little New York hussy. Leave now. Get
Yeah.
out of Singapore.
Dude.
Yeah.
I'll watch Michelle Yeoh just drink coffee. Like, she's so great. But anyway, those are the two big movies that are coming out: Pope's Exorcist and Renfield. They're hitting theaters this weekend.
You're not going to go watch the Weeb movie?
Which Weeb movie?
Suzume?
Are we getting it here?
I hope so. Probably. It
I mean,
looks good.
I don't think we're gonna get it here.
Well, we'll see.
But it does look actually really good.
It looks pretty good.
Makoto Shinkai doing this one. I think we may get it in our Malco, but I don't think it's gonna get a big wide release. Although, who knows? I mean, Demon Slayer got a huge, like, a lot of those Funimation movies have been taken off, and
There's lots of weebs out there.
but this one's not based on any big, card game or something that everybody knows, and it's not got the same huge fandom as, like, Demon Slayer.
Yeah, but
or
it's
Dragon Ball.
done by the people that do all of those movies that have, like, the same poster.
And they're so good.
Like, yeah, I can't remember any of the names, but, like, they were big movies.
I mean, if we get it, I'll go see it. But I don't know if we're gonna get it. So thanks for bringing up the weeb content, Jake. We can always count on you.
I gotta give our subscribers a reason to hit that weeb button at you, bro.
Yeah, bleep 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 bleep. Smack that weeb emote and throw it our way. There we go. Thanks, LogeWeb on Twitch. Okay, well, those are your movies that are coming out this week. Let's talk about movies. Let me start with Paint, because I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time talking about it, because then we'll spend the rest of the show talking about Mario Brothers. Paint is the new film with Owen Wilson. It's Britt McAdams directing and writing this one. Interesting supporting cast. but if we're being honest, it's really just the Owen Wilson show. But you've got Michaela Watkins, Wendy McLendon-Covey. You've got Stephen Root, who's always really funny. You remember him from Office Space. Everybody knows him from that movie.
Also, he was Bill Dauterive.
Yes, he was. And Ciara Renee, who plays the kind of... It's weird. She's the villain of the story, but the way that they handle the sort of gender mechanics of this tale are a little interesting.
She's the one that comes in with the new show.
Yes, and it doesn't work out the way you think it's going to work out. But this movie, of course, Owen Wilson plays this character that is Carl Nargle, which is a really weird name, but he is a very Bob Rossian. He is a Bob Ross spoof, like quite literally a Bob Ross spoof, and he hosts this show on PBS, Vermont or wherever they're in, and it oh geez, the comments are distracting me. And he's hosting a Bob Ross show, and you can't really figure out what time period this show exists in, because Owen Wilson's character is very much like late 1970s, early 80s. Bob Ross drives a big van called Vantastic, and they're PBS and they have all this old equipment. But then there's people that there's a lot of modern references and modern technologies, so you don't really know what time period this in, but it's not really relevant to the story. And the story is about this guy who is number one on the show. He convinced he's like the coolest dude in the room, and everybody everybody wants to get with him or be him or whatever. And he's got this obsession with getting a painting in this local museum, and along comes low ratings, and this is where my problem with the story is they kind of falsely inject a conflict in here. With his ratings were as high as they'd ever been. There wasn't this sort of fall from grace that didn't feel artificial, and all of a sudden they inject. He just says no once. There's a moment in the movie that they want him to do 2 hours a week instead of 1 hour a week because they need more content, and he's the highest rated dude. And he says no, he didn't really want to do that. So they get this other lady who's African American, young girl painting, and it's edgy, and she's painting like UFOs and weird stuff, and he just paints like Bob Ross stuff. And then there becomes this rivalry, and then he has this huge fall from grace, and it's all about relationships, and he's hung up on his ex-girlfriend, and the movie's not really about anything at all. It's just these characters bumbling through this weird story. It's cute, but it feels like a Netflix movie, if that makes sense. The performances were solid. There were some funny jokes. I don't regret seeing this movie. I was entertained by this movie, but the whole movie I was very confused why this movie was in theaters, right? Because it didn't have enough oomph to make it feel like it needed to be a movie. It felt like it was maybe like a couple of side jokes that maybe the writer, director, and some friends had, and they go, "Oh, let's play this out." And Owen Wilson is hilarious as a Bob Ross. So let's make a whole movie about it. And they try to attach some social commentary to it, where they were trying to over villainize some of Owen Wilson's characters, like antiquated sort of masculine traits of but they were not traits that weren't his fault. They were fed into him by his own stardoms, but they made him the villain somehow, and it felt very artificial. But then he became the hero at the end, which also then felt more artificial. And I don't know. And as Hardy just said on YouTube, it sounds dreadful. It wasn't dreadful. I just had a really hard time figuring out what this movie was trying to do, because it wasn't a hilarious comedy, despite Owen Wilson having a perm wig and pretending to be Bob Ross. But it wasn't like a super heartfelt dramedy either. So yeah, I just felt kind of lost in this movie. Do I recommend people see this in the theater? Probably not. Would I recommend having someone watch this movie while they're at home? Like
a weekend afternoon?
Sure. This is a great afternoon movie, sitting down with a sandwich, watching this movie. It's fun. It's engaging, but it just lacked something that made me feel really engaged the more I started to think about it. So, You can check it out. I don't think it's going to be in theaters very long. It's going to hit streaming very soon. It's I was talking to the manager at the Malco. I was the only person that bought tickets to this movie that whole day. As Vince just said on Twitch, I think he summed it up perfectly. It lacks wow. It did. It lacked a little wow. That Owen Wilson wow. So yeah, I was a little disappointed. I wanted to like it a lot more than I did, and I didn't hate it. It lacked wow. So there you go. I mean, Jake's already fallen asleep too. So yeah, and so me just talking about the movie is boring everyone. So I guess I'll stop talking about it. So you can check it out. You can go to a special place with Owen Wilson and do whatever you need to do. So okay, now that we've covered that, let's talk about Super Mario. Jake?
It's a movie. It's a movie. Yeah. Well, this one's tough. Because what was it? I almost fell asleep during this movie, honestly. It's very loose. They rapid fire things at you. I know it's made for kids, and they're trying to just hold them in there. It was boring and empty and clearly a cash grab, and they hit you with a lot of Mario music anytime they run out of things to do, and it made no sense.
Vince says,
but
what?
They got
I heard it's on track to be the most profitable movie in history. I'm so confused. Yes, it was one of the biggest openings of all time, behind Avengers. Yes. 150 million in its opening weekend, just coming out of the gates, gun blazing. With that, like I said, with that invincibility star. But again, something I say a lot on the show: just because something makes money does not make it good. Look at Avatar. And my problem with this movie is, this movie, like Jake just said, lacked any sort of substance. Because this movie was just a series of events, of things that happen in the video game, and not like storylines or plot points that happen throughout the video games, but things you do while you're playing, like jump moves that you do and power-ups that you consume. And it's like, I've got the flower, and now I have firepower, and you're like, and it's not even a good Mario accent.
It wasn't even a Mario movie. This is a Toadstool movie, or sorry, Princess Peach. It's a Princess Peach movie. It's not a Mario movie, and they make sure to remind you of that every opportunity they get. When Mario's there, he's a joke, and they make sure to let you know that they think Mario is a joke, and they want to make fun of him. They want to put him down.
He's too short. He sucks.
He's not the hero. Peach is the hero of the movie, and the only time that Mario is a standout whatsoever is when he grabs a star and gets to be the star for like 3 seconds at the end of the movie. But beyond that, it is very much a Princess Peach movie. And
that's where I got confused.
They make fun of Mario more than they present it to you.
And this is where I making a movie about Mario, of all the Nintendo properties that you could do, I understand why they're doing it. The Legend of Zelda has way more narrative content than Mario will ever have in its pinky finger. And Al asks, is it better than the 90s Mario movie?
No.
I'm going to cover that in a moment.
Okay. Hold on.
But I want to talk about what's weird about this movie, because as Jake said, yes, it's very much a Princess Peach movie, but how do you make a movie about a game that at its core is now considered a problematic storyline? Weak defenses princess gets kidnapped by a monster and needs a man to save her, but we still need to keep the property rights, but we can't have a guy rescuing a girl. The girl has to be the one that's the strong one. So how about just do that? How about just cut Mario out?
There's not a problem with that at all.
No, there's not.
But this movie presented it very wrong. They did it the wrong way.
I would have rather seen Princess Peach the whole freaking time, because the way that her character, she was a badass. But
they made Peach cool. They made her a very much...
They made her the freaking coolest.
She was Smash Bros. Peach.
She was Smash Bros. Peach. But then at that point, why do we even need Mario. And then they go, well, Mario has to rescue someone, so let's make Luigi the stupidest character in the planet so that Mario can rescue Luigi like he's the princess.
And they started out doing this thing too, where they were brothers, and it had like the building blocks of what could have been like a really heartfelt, like warming story of these brothers. And instead, as soon as it arcs up, they just flip it over and shit on it. And they're like, yeah, Luigi, screw him. Until the very end, where they're like, yeah, Luigi's pretty cool.
He needs to do one cool thing.
Yeah.
And, if you're going to build a cinematic universe, I think that would have been the smart move. Like, introduce Peach a little later and make her the star of her own thing. Instead of, like, chaotically throwing all this crap. And as Al says, you need money for the money. No one would go see a movie called Peach. I don't know. Because this movie, like the 15 minutes at the beginning when they were in Brooklyn and the 5 minutes at the end where they were in Brooklyn were the most interesting, unique parts of the whole movie, because they were doing something with the world. And this is where
they were the parts with Charles Martinet in them.
Well, there's that. But the thing that surprised me is while they're in the Mushroom Kingdom, or whatever you want to call it, all it was just, here's what happens in Mario Kart. Remember when you double tap and you can do the thing? Well, here's Mario doing the thing and going, I double tapped and doing the thing. And then he's like, oh, here's a big mushroom. Oh, I ate the big mushroom. Look at what I did. It's crazy. And then it's like, oh, here's
except
the little
without the accent, because
yeah,
the very first thing,
Chris Pratt.
The very first thing they do in this movie is make fun of Mario.
Yeah.
They're like, here's your hero of the movie. Also, he's garbage. He's trash. We don't like this guy. He's just here to frame the story, and we're really going to focus on everyone else.
Well, and yeah, it was just series after series of banana pills make carts slip, and the blue turtle that goes, blue shell power, which means I get to go to the front of the carts and destroy carts. Like, we all know what a fucking blue shell does. Like, we don't need to frame it. Have someone just grab him and throw him. We don't, like, make the world, like the Dungeons and Dragons movie did a really good job of letting
not explaining everything.
Yeah, and just things happening, and we're normal. And this is why I want to go back to the 90s. They make fun of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show in the very beginning by using the intro music. And then, as one of our viewers asked, is it better than the 90s movie? No. And here's why. And I went back because I was like, am I crazy? Because people ask me all the time, it's like, oh, you're just so nostalgic about this old content. And I was like,
the 90s Mario movie sucks.
Yeah, it's
not great. I want
to
be very clear about this right now.
It's not great.
But it's a better movie.
Because they are doing something in that world that is different and unique, and telling a story and developing characters in a weird way. The movie's not great, but it did more in that movie than this movie did. Like, this movie just repeated things from the game.
It was nothing but, how do we get from this reference to this reference to this reference to this reference? We're going to throw in an audio reference, but we need that to turn into this reference. And it was like, remember that thing that you did in Mario? And then they make
him do it.
And they're like, let's turn that into 90 minutes.
Yeah. Remember when you jumped on a shell and it goes, got to make sure you do that.
Yeah. Remember when he has a Tanuki tail spin?
And we got to make sure he does that. But we also have to tell you that that's what we're doing, instead of just making it feel natural and flowy. And this is why I want to bring up the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, because I went back and I watched a few episodes of it. And of course, some of the Captain Lou Albano live action stuff was a bit cringy, but I was skipping to the parts of the animated series. And I was not crazy. The animated show is really good, because the world exists in the world. We all know that how Shy Guys work. We all know how Boos work. We all know how Thwomps and Bullet Bills work. We know the game mechanics. You don't have to explain how the block falls from underneath you when you stand on it. We know. We got it. But when you tell a story about Bowser and Peach and Toad and Luigi and Mario in this world, and give them some more depth than rescue him from the bad guy, then you actually have cool episodic stories to tell. And then Mario Brothers Super Show did that. This movie did not. And then you throw Bowser in an incredibly problematic role where he's like this super angry, rapey, just aggressive
Bowser's
male.
just an incel with a floating island.
He's like, I love you so much. I'm going to write these songs like toxic, masculine love. And it's
And
like,
then as soon as he gets her to agree to be his lady, he's like, cool, I'm going to kill all of your friends and family so that I'm the only person in your life. And that is the Bowser plot of the movie.
And
is he's going to force Peach to be his, and then he's going to kill everyone she knows so that she's locked in and relies on him.
which is weird.
It's awful.
And that's not something that you should maybe do for kids. And you
That's
made
not something you should do.
you know, you could have developed Bowser in a like give him some more motivation. How does the Koopa Kingdom even exist? You know,
Well,
like because they're it's there.
What
You
about all of his kids that run the castles that you go to and defeat, like in Super Mario?
Yeah, there's so much there. And instead of making him a Jack Blackian weird rapey guy, like, and it just, I really did not like this movie.
I didn't like the way that the pipes were magic instead of pipes, and like the whole thing, they like introduce him as a plumber, and then they're like, yeah, but what if the plumber thing don't matter? You know, like that's just how he finds the world, or something like that.
But anyway, so when he gets, like I said, when he gets at the beginning in Brooklyn and at the end in Brooklyn and uses the world of Mario Brothers to frame up an interesting, fun idea, like, okay, well, he's in the streets of Brooklyn and uses his Mushroom Kingdom powers to save his friends and family in the real world. Hey, that's a cool, neat idea that I've not seen in the Mario world. But it only encompassed about 9 minutes of the entire movie. And the rest of it was kind of what we've been talking about, and just cringy, eye-rolly moves from the game, not story from the game, actions from the game. And the Smash Brothers like Donkey Kong battle scene, and like all the Mario Kart scenes and the baby Mario, there was good references at the beginning, and they just threw away the difference between an Easter egg and a, hey, this is video game content. And I don't know, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, there wasn't one part of it. Velvet Santa asks, Sonic better? Sonic is worlds better.
Sonic the Hedgehog is a
leagues beyond
Yeah.
what this movie is. And someone asking about, is the 90s movie better with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo? A million times better. Even though that movie's awful, it's bad. They made Goombas like giant weird lizard man monster things.
Was it a more?
At least there was a story.
It was a more
was
interesting attempt at a
clear
Super
villain.
Mario Brothers movie than this was. Neither of them are great movies. The 90s one, I would rather sit down and watch that 90s movie.
There's
way more.
At least there's a plot and a reason, and Mario gets to be a hero or whatever in that one. This one, Mario's just the guy that leads you between references.
It's like sitting on a couch watching someone else play Mario Kart or Mario Party 8.
Careful, because we're on Twitch, and that's something people do.
Well, yeah, but at least they have a person that they're watching, you know, and you don't get to play. Like, you've seen it all, and it's it really failed for me as a movie.
Well, and you put it up against, you said something about the D&D movie right now, and how they do the game right, because they treat it like it's it's like, yeah, this is how the game works, but here it is in a real story. Mario's like, this is how the game is, not this is how it works or how we can use it. They take a game and they're just like, what if we just put all the noises from this game and then mixed it with
better graphics,
with a pile of shit, and fed that to you.
Did you stay for the end credits trailer?
I stayed through,
where it's like, it's a Yoshi egg and it goes, Yoshi! And they're like, well, okay, well, yay, we get to see. And that's the crazy thing about when, you know, in the olden days, which are not that long ago, it's really cool for us to see like, oh, wow, we're getting a chance to see a new thing that's inspired by like this video game or whatever in a new way. And with the graphics that we have now and the games that we have now, we've gotten, this was nothing new. You know, it's just like watching a cutscene of, or just the game. It's just the game.
And you want to know something? The person with the most character was probably Luigi, and they gave him the least amount of screen time and just dumped on him the whole time he was there. But they gave him like an interesting personality and some character to him, and they're like, yeah, but now what if he's just scared and stuck somewhere? And then at the end, he was like the true hero. It was dumb. It was dumb.
And it's making all the money. It's lights and sounds.
Donkey Kong is just Seth Rogen if he applied to one of those ads in the back of a comic book to be the muscle guy.
Oh, God, yeah.
Kicking the sand at people.
Oh, Seth Rogen. And it's got celebrity voices. It's got noises. The kids that watch you at home playing Mario Kart and are not very good at it, you can go to this movie and go, oh yeah, it's like the video game. Exactly. It's exactly the game on TV. But here's the hopefully the silver lining. If we can get a Legend of Zelda movie,
no, please don't.
that takes itself somewhat seriously. That's not like, well, excuse me, princess, which it's gonna be, you know. I would love to see a Zelda, like a competent Zelda movie.
It would just be that dumbass one on Wii that everyone acts like it's the first Zelda that's ever been made.
Twilight Princess?
No, sorry, not Wii.
Wind Waker?
No, the what's the new console? That they have?
The Switch?
Yeah, the Switch one.
Loge Webb wants a Majora's Mask movie.
Majora's Mask movie would be sick. We're like, let's terrify the fuck out of
Link
kids.
to the Past, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Link to the Past. Let's do it. Make it real.
Dude. Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons would be a pretty cool.
Breath of the Wild is the one that everyone talks
Wild.
about because everyone acts like no Zelda game existed before that.
They all existed before
Cool
that.
thing about Zelda is you could make it and then you can recast it and change everything about it, and that's in line. That's
and the cool thing about Legend of Zelda is it checks all the boxes already because Zelda's a badass. Ganondorf is an established piece of shit. Link is a hero already, and everything balances out. Like you know, it could work. It could work, and it's in a fantasy setting.
That's what I'm saying. You don't even have to make the game stories. You could just make a whole new story and keep it in line with the games. And it's like, oh yeah, because they're constantly reborn.
Yes.
There's always the wielders of the Triforce. And yeah, you can have Sheik.
Just don't give me Tinkle.
Tingle's the best. I don't know what you're talking about. Tingle, tingle, kulu limpa. I used to love shooting his balloon down Majora's Mask. And
that was the best part. That was the best part.
Yeah, a little idiot.
But anyway, so Nintendo is now going to be a new, I can't remember who said it in Twitch, but they said, you know, Nintendoverse coming soon. And it's coming. It made way too much money and is going to continue to make too much money.
The only problem is this movie controlled the stories of like Donkey Kong and whatever else.
Well, yeah, and
So how are you? And you know what? They had Diddy and Dixie Kong there very briefly. Where was Funky and Candy Kong?
We're probably gonna get a Donkey Kong movie now.
No,
a Donkey Kong Country movie.
I hated having Fred Armisen as super Jewish.
You know
Kong.
what? I would have rather had a Super Mario Brothers 2 movie before this, where it's all a dream. And there's no Koopa, and it's that weird frog bad guy.
Because it's not Mario, but it was a remake of a different game that had a Mario skin
It's
put
the
on
best Mario, except for Mario World. That's the best. I mean, everybody knows that one. Wart, yeah. And it's got the best music. Mario 2 does have...
Super Mario World has sick music.
Yeah, but Mario 2's music is really
also they
cool.
They made it where you can't do a Yoshi story thing unless you use Peach. They did set it up where you can have Peach Yoshi story.
That would be cool. Do something different.
You don't need a Yoshi story movie.
Give me a Paper Mario story and like have Wes Anderson direct it.
Give me a Super Mario RPG movie.
Give me one of those. Anyway, all right. Well, that's what's going on. We got to give you the box office roundup because we are way out of time here. So we got to tell you what made movie or what made movie money in theaters this week, because we all know that it was just Mario. But we're going to give you the top 10 movies in America as we do. And Jake's going to start with number 10. It's going to work his way all the way up to number 1 because domestic box office totals are how we predict what movies are going to come out in the future. And starting with number 10 was, spoiler alert, the movie I just talked about.
Yeah, it's coming in at number 10, the movie you just reviewed from IFC Films. So maybe it will be up for streaming. I think it is already up for streaming.
Pretty soon.
Paint brought in just over $500,000. 570,000 is its intake for the weekend. That's rough. Thanks, Lowe's Web.
Well, it was only in 800 theaters, but that's still not a very good take.
Yeah. And then coming in at number 9 in its second week out, 1001. That movie actually does look kind of interesting. Inner city life kind of a thing. A mom reobtains her son that she's not supposed to have any contact with. Looks like it could be interesting. In its second week, it brought in $600,000, bringing
also less than 1,000 people.
Domestic total up to just shy of $3 million. And then way down here in its fourth week out, coming in at number 8, Shazam! Fury of the Gods brought in a $1.5 million. Its domestic take so far is at 56.5. Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. However, in its sixth week out, at number 7, Creed 3 brought in $2.75 million, bringing its domestic at 153.2, and they are very happy with that movie. In fact, we are getting the Creediverse. The Creed story will expand and continue even without
any characters from the previous movies.
Yeah. So just going to continue on, and we'll see where Jonathan Majors ends up in his whole punching that girl thing.
Put him in the ring, have him punch somebody else.
And in its second week, his only son probably did big yesterday.
It did.
Yeah, $2.8 million this past weekend. Its domestic totals at 10.6. So not as big as its opening week. I guess everyone was getting geared up for Easter real hard on that one. And then number 5, fifth week out, Scream 6, $3.4 million. Its domestic take is just barely under $104 million. So not so bad. Probably not as much as they want out of such a big budget horror movie, but that's still making money because horror movies are cheap. And then number 4, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves in its official second week out, but truly it was released 2 weeks before. Brought in $13.8 million. Its domestic take is at 61.6, and I do not think that includes the Amazon previews like we saw, because we saw that last week. They did not include the pre-showings. And then opening at number 3, Air, $14.4 million.
Pretty good opening.
But I guess it had a couple extra days because it's sitting at $20.2 million.
Had an early release, yeah.
Yeah, so not bad for that one that snuck up on everybody. And then John Wick hanging in there at number 2, kept its number 2 spot, $14.4 million. Its domestic, $146.9. And where was Shazam and Creed? Yeah, so good on John Wick. That one, of course, like we talked about earlier, will continue with or without John Wick into the ballerina. And then opening at the top spot, Super Mario brought in the same amount of money that John Wick has earned in 2 weeks, $146 million. It, too, with an early release, bringing in $204.6 million.
And here's the crazy thing. This weekend, John Wick's theater average was about $4,000, right? Per showing, per screen or whatever. Super Mario Brothers movie, $33,000 per. Like it made so much money.
I think
so much money.
It has by definition broad appeal. It has everything that you could offer to get the widest audience
and just curiosity from people too, because
Well,
we've never
'cause
seen a Super Mario Brothers movie
video
or TV shows, so people are like, there's that instant draw of people going, well, I'm curious to what this is going to be.
video game movies have classically sucked, but now Sonic has kind of turned that around. But yeah, you have Mario Brothers, you have Illumination Studio that people really like. You have celebrity voices. It's a family movie, which how many other options of family movies are there right now? And
Easter holiday weekend.
Yeah, it's animated. I mean, you got quite a bit going on for it that just poised it.
To make a meteoric rainbow road to success there. So made all the money, and it's gonna probably destroy next week as well, because we're getting 2 rated R movies. So again, it's got a hype behind it. It's a PG offering. So there you have it. We need to wrap it up, but Vince, our Twitch mod, reminding us some Fathom events there, and to join our Discord. He threw a link there in the chat. You can always keep up with us throughout the week. You can chat with some of our other viewers. Got a little film community going. Yeah,
Fathom events, check them out. This week is Big Lebowski anniversary, and then coming up in the next
the dude bites.
In the next week or two is Return of the King, extended.
Well, right on, guys. Well, don't forget to, like I said, like, share, and subscribe. You can download this show wherever it is you get podcasts. If you just want to listen to the audio of it, it's there for you. But if you want to see the video, you can check us out on our Facebook, our YouTube, or our Twitch. YouTube archives lots of shows, but Twitch is the one we like. You can like and subscribe, and you can join in the pre-show, that exclusive content before we get started with the rest of the guys. So thanks everybody over on Twitch for those subs and those emotes and those cheer points. They're always fun. We love doing that. So with that said, I guess next week I'll probably see Renfield. That's going to be kind of my pick, and we'll review that one next week. So I watched some stuff on Netflix that maybe if we need filler, we'll talk about it next week. So thanks as always. I'm Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we will see you guys next week.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.